Hi, I'm John, and today I'm going to be setting up the Yale Conexis L1 smart lock with the Z-Wave 2 module. So this is what comes in the packet. Quite a large lock, which I assume will be the one that goes on the outside. And some fittings. A much smaller one, which I assume is the one which goes on the inside here, replacing this one. Various screws. I think those go through the door. Some batteries, which will need replacing apparently every 6 months, just normal AA size. And of course, what will be my key replacements, which is this credit card sized smart key or the key fob. So I've had the lock installed for about a week now, and it's been really convenient. So when I leave the house now, close the door, lift the handle, lock kicks in automatically, and that's the door all locked. When I come home, because I'm doing it with the full smart integration, I'm using just some widgets on my Apple Watch. Touch the smartphone app, touch the door open, and that sends a signal to the door to unlock, and I can get back in the house. Very straightforward. If you're not going to use the full smart integration, there are a couple of options included in the box. One, you get this little key fob thing, which you can easily put on a key ring. Probably the most convenient to people who still have keys. One of the main reasons for getting a lock for me was so I didn't have to carry keys anymore. But with that, if the door was locked, like that, just hold it against the lock, opens as normal, and the other thing you get is just a sort of credit card size card, very similar. Opens just like that. As well as the key fobs and these cards, you can also get little stickers which they call phone tags, and they suggest that you put in the back of your phone. I think they look a bit messy, but if you can hide it behind a phone cover or something like that, you might find it more convenient. The other way of getting in that you get straight out the box is there's a phone app, and you can use the phone app. Now, it's a little bit inconvenient using the app because you need to connect from the phone by Bluetooth into the device, and you only do that by touching the device. Then you have to wait for it to connect to Bluetooth, and then you have to log into the app, which might involve putting your username and password into the app, and then you click a big button which says open. I would suggest that isn't going to be your main way of getting to the house. It's probably more convenient to use a key than it is to use that way. So if without the smart integration, I think you'll be more likely to be using a fob or one of those phone tags. Another thing you can do with the app though is create mobile keys. Now they could be convenient for people who don't need to access the house that often, or you want to give temporary access to. With the mobile keys, what you can do is set a schedule. So you could say, allow this person access only 2 hours on a Saturday morning. They suggest it might be for people like cleaners or other people who you might want to just give temporary access to your house. You could easily obviously cancel the key afterwards, which is one of the main advantages of having all these locks, is that if you lose one of these key fobs or cards, you can easily just cancel the key, and then you can create a new one. They do charge you, I think it's about £10 for creating 5 devices. So I think it's a bit cheeky really. I don't see any reason why they should charge you for that. It's not really costing them anything to create more keys, but you do have to pay for that. If you're looking to do anything more complex, then probably what you're looking to do then is get a smart module. Now there are 2 different types of module you can get for the door. They both go into a little slot at the top of the door here. I've got the Z-Wave module, which will connect to my Smartthings device, my Smartthings hub. You can get a Yale module as well, which will connect to a Yale alarm system if you have one of those. If you've got one of these modules installed, then you can get remote access. So you saw earlier I did the entry from my watch, and that's because I've connected it through to my Smartthings device, and then I've got Smartthings classic app installed on my phone and on my watch, and I've got like a watch complication where I can just open up that, and then I've got like routine, so I've got a routine for door open. So if you want to do something like that, or if you want to connect it into other routines such as turning lights on, turning TV on, turning kettles on, etc., then you need to get one of these modules. I'll just mention installation because a lot of people seem to have had a lot of trouble with getting the actual lock installed in the first place. It's not very difficult. It took about half an hour That's taking my time. The instructions aren't that good, but you can get there. It is quite an obvious mechanism. Most of the mechanism for actually locking a door is part of the door itself, and it's not changed by the lock. The way these things work basically is you lift up the handle, that sends the bolts across. You bring the handle down, that brings the bolts back in again. The only thing the lock is actually doing is putting a little catch in place to stop you from actually moving the handle down. So that's the same whether you've got a key or whether one of these new locks. So what the lock actually does is just put a little catch up in the middle of the lock just to stop you from bringing the handle down. What's essential, the main thing you need to make sure is that you've got that little thing in the middle centrally aligned. If you've got this little catch thing to one side, it's hitting the door frame, it's not going to lock the door, and the motor's never going to move it. If you've got it slightly against the door frame, it's going to struggle because it's only a weak motor. It needs to be lots of freedom of movement, but then after you've got that central bit installed, then the rest of the lock actually fits on really, really easily. The only thing I did do, because you can see it's quite a big lock, my old lock, I've got it over there. Yeah, my old lock, sorry, 1 second, is a lot smaller. It only had 2 screws, one here, one here. I found it didn't really attach as well at the top. This does come with 1 fixed screw here, then 2 other screws. They move up and down, so you should be able to fit them into the holes of your previous lock. I wasn't happy that the top was as secure, so I did actually drill an extra hole to secure with the additional screw at the top as well, and that makes it much more solid. Probably the biggest drawback of getting the lock is that it needs to run on batteries. The lock takes 4 AA size batteries, and you need to use 1.5 volt alkaline batteries and not the lower 1.2 volt rechargeable ones. Using the Z-Wave module means you will use more power, but the batteries are still expected to last around 3 to 6 months depending on usage. There used to be an issue with an earlier version of the Z-Wave module that drained the batteries really quickly, but the latest version seems to have cleared that up for everyone affected, and I certainly haven't noticed any problems in that area during my first week. Though you can see the power level of the battery in the app or through a connected hub, it is possible to miss these things, especially if all you're using are the physical tags for access. If the door is your main means of access to your home, then knowing what you would do in the event of a power failure is going to be essential. You can attach a 9 volt battery to 2 terminals at the bottom of the outside lock section to give it temporary power. If you can, it's probably worth keeping a 9 volt battery stashed away somewhere that you can reach from the outside of your house in the case of emergency. So in summary, the lock works really well. If you're interested, there's another video I've done on Hive Active Heating System.